Welcome to the Real Estate Scripts Podcast, the show that helps you know what to say when you're talking to buyers and sellers so that you can close more deals and earn more money. I'm Darren Tunstall, a real estate professional, coach, and #1 best-selling author. Let's get into this. All right, and welcome everybody to today's episode. Today, we are reviewing the script titled Explaining Real Estate Agency Relationship to the Buyer. As a reminder, the purpose of Scripts and Dialogues is to come, learn, practice, and be prepared to fail forward. This is where we make mistakes and help each other out, but we're mostly interested in seeing how we can get better. First, we read through the script word for word, and then we go back and put it into our own natural tone, style, and phrasing. You won't know what to say until you go through the script. So, with that said, many people will say, that's not how I sound. And I totally get it. That's not how you sound. But that is the reason why we practice every day, so that the script becomes you and in your own voice. So, read it word for word first, then go back and put it into your own natural tone, style, and phrasing, and I think it'll work out.
All right. So enter into discussion with the buyer or seller regarding real estate transaction. You should explain what type of agency, relationship, or representation you have with the client in the transaction. You do this by reviewing the disclosure regarding real estate agency relationship with your client, and you represent them with integrity, honesty, and loyalty. Okay, so you must have your buyer's representation agreement ready in place with your buyer. The intention is to explain the real estate agency relationship to the buyer. Hi, Darren. Let's talk about what a real estate agency relationship means between yourself and me. It means with your consent, I can act as your agent. I'm not the seller's agent. I have the following affirmative obligations to you and all my buyers. And that is a fiduciary duty of utmost care, integrity, honesty, and loyalty.
Okay. That sounds like a lot of big words, Emily.
I know it does, but let me break it down.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll also exercise reasonable skills and care in my performance and duties. I promise to be honest, fair, and act in good faith. I also have a duty to disclose all facts known that may materially affect the value or desirability of the property that are not known. So anything about the property that I know about, I have to make sure that you're aware. I have to look out for your best interest. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
Okay. If it's possible that you may like a home that I've listed, in this case, I'll represent you and the seller if it's my listing, but only with the knowledge and consent from both of you. You both have to agree. I will let you know if this is the case, should it occur. If it does, you should know that as a dual agent, I will not disclose the other party confidential information. And this includes financial positions, motivations, bargaining positions, or other personal information that may impact the price, including my seller's willingness to accept a price less than the listing price or your willingness to pay a price greater than the listing price. I can only share this information with both parties' consent. My duties as your agent in a real estate transaction do not relieve you or the seller from the responsibility to protect your own interests. You should carefully read all agreements to assure that they adequately express your understanding of the transaction. I'm qualified to advise you about real estate. If legal or tax advice is desired, you should consult with a competent professional. You have the duty to exercise reasonable care to protect yourself, including as to those facts about the property which are known to you or within your diligent attention and observation. I strongly recommend obtaining tax advice from a competent professional because the federal and state tax consequences of a transaction can be complex and subject to change. With all that said, what questions may I answer for you?
Boy, I have a lot of questions, Emily. No. So let me explain this script. This particular script, the agency disclosure, I wrote it pretty much directly from the document itself, from the agency disclosure document itself. And there's a lot of words in there. And the reason why I did that, we've talked about this before, but the reason why I did that is because we need to know exactly what's in the paperwork, and especially when you're establishing agency, that people are fully aware of what happens when you're working with a buyer, a seller, or you're acting as a dual agent. So I want to go back to the beginning of this. That is a long script and a lot of words. So my question to you is, what would you do? How would you do it in your own words going back? You want to try it again and put it in your own words. Now that we know what's in it and what everything says, I mean, and some of these are word for word from the contract itself.
Right. So put it in my own words?
Put it in your own words.
Okay. Hi, Darren. Let's sit down and talk about my responsibility to represent you as your real estate agent.
Okay. There's
different scenarios that could happen. First of all, right now, I'm representing you as the buyer. Okay. So your best interest is what I represent. I want to make sure that, I'm honest and fair and you get a good deal. Like I said, I'm going to represent you with integrity and make sure that I don't lose sight of what's best for you. It's possible that some of the homes we see might already be one of my listings, which I represent the seller. So in that case, if it's something that you want to pursue further and put an offer in, I would represent you and my seller. Now, the way that works is I can't do any of that without both of you consenting. So it would have to be okay with them that I represent you as the buyer coming into the transaction. And of course, I would be open and honest with you that, yes, it's my listing and I would represent the seller. However, should that happen, I want you to know that I work for both of you, but independently. So I can't divulge any personal or financial information when it comes to, if you might want to offer more on the house. I can't tell them that. I can't disclose anything like that. And in turn, I cannot disclose if they will go lower than what you initially offer. I have to keep that confidential and private and act on both of your behalves. And be on it. I don't know. I can't. I'm trying to word it right, but I can't. So
That's all right. That's all right. Emily, I have a quick question for you. How is this going to affect how I pay you?
How you pay me?
Yeah.
You don't pay me as the buyer. It comes out of the transaction of the home.
Okay. So I'm not doubling up or anything like that, or not having to come out of pocket. Okay. What about the seller? I'm just kind of curious. What about the seller? So do they have to pay double, or how does that work?
No, it remains the same percentage and it goes to my brokerage.
Yeah, and then the other thing is I want to ask is, since I am the buyer, what if, I mean, I have reasons why I want to buy this house and why I may want to place an offer that's a little higher. I mean, there's some, what if I don't want the seller to know those reasons?
Then I can't tell them those reasons. I can't tell them your motivations at all.
Okay.
And in turn, I cannot tell you theirs. And that's part of my duty to both of you as your agent, to keep those motivations in confidence.
What kind of experience do you have with being a dual agent and keeping that information separate?
Well, I'm on a team. We have combined over 30 years of experience. The brokerage I work for has been around for a long time. So there's a lot of experience behind that as well. So I'm going to be straightforward with you. I don't have a ton of experience, but I have a lot of experience to lean on should a question arise or an issue arise I definitely have people behind me that will direct me in the right way. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. No, that's fair. Okay, cool. All right. Well, anyways, that's it for the script on this. The whole point is just to explain the agency and to get that message across. So, is there anything that you would add to it?
Me?
Yeah,
I don't know. Probably. I probably would have said it better.
that's all right. Yeah,
Not bad, but definitely done it a few times to be more comfortable. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm. It's definitely a different script, a conversation that must be had when you're working with a buyer, or a seller for that matter, because agency has to be established in either way, in either case. So, um,
I think in doing the script, I might have broke it down separately.
for buyer and for seller.
No, well, maybe that's a good point. No, but for um single and then dual separately, like a script that says, oh, so you're interested in buying this house or whatever. Just so you know, it is my listing. And moving forward, I want to, because you kind of have it all in one here. And I think they're two separate situations.
They they are, but it's the same. But it's one document that explains. It's the one document that explains whether you're working with a buyer or a seller. It
And
serves both, but
right. And like I said, in my situation when I bought my condo, it wasn't one agent, it was two agents, same brokerage.
right, which is still which is
Right.
still a dual
And I
agency.
remember her telling me that, just so you know. I'm like, yeah, okay.
If you look at page 38,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
there it is also explaining real estate agency relationship to the seller. So I have it both broken down for buyer and seller. But it's important to read through it essentially as if you were reading through the contract and then going back and putting it in your own words, because we don't want to read it just like this.
No, we don't want to say it just like this because, like you said, wow, that's a lot of big words,
Yeah.
because when you're just looking at like this, it's very challenging to
Well,
know how to convert it into your own words.
this was in my own words after reading the whole
Oh,
agency.
okay.
This
So you
was
missed anything? Yeah.
it's yeah, yeah, exactly. I wanted to incorporate almost everything, at least most of the important stuff, but not necessarily say it word for word per the document itself. I just wanted to make sure that it kind of is in my own words. Anyways, Kevin,
Yeah.
you have it up?
Yep.
For now, just read it as is, and then we'll have you go back and put it in your own words too. Okay?
All right.
All right.
All righty. All right, Miss Emily. Let's talk about what a real estate agency relationship means. So it means with your consent, I can act as your agent. I am not the seller's agent. I have the following affirmative obligations to you and all my buyers, and that is fiduciary duty of utmost care, integrity, honesty, and loyalty. I also exercise reasonable skills and care in my performance and duties. I promise to be honest, fair, and act in good faith. I also have a duty to disclose all facts known that may materially affect the value or desirability of the property that are not known. It is possible that you may like a home that I have listed. In that case, I will represent you and the seller, but only with the knowledge and consent from both of you. I will let you know if this is the case should it occur. If it does, you should know that as a dual agent, I will not disclose to the other party confidential information. This includes financial positions, motivations, bargaining positions, or other personal information that may impact the price, including my seller's willingness to accept a price less than the listing price, or your willingness to pay a price greater than the listing price. I can only share this information with both parties' consent. Do you have any questions so far?
No, I kind of get it.
Awesome. My duties as your agent in a real estate transaction do not relieve you or the seller from the responsibility to protect your own interests. You should carefully read all agreements to assure that they adequately express your understanding of the transaction. I am qualified to advise about real estate. If legal or tax advice is desired, you should consult with a competent professional. You have the duty to exercise reasonable care to protect yourself, including as to those facts about the property which are known to you or within your diligent attention and observation. I strongly recommend obtaining tax advice from a competent professional because the federal and state tax consequences of a transaction can be complex and subject to change. With all that said, what questions may I answer for you?
Nothing. I think I got it.
So Kevin, break the script real quick. So what does all of that mean to you?
So what it means to me, is it's letting the client know who I am, basically giving an introduction to who I am, what I do, what I'm supposed to do, and letting the client know the differences in in our relationship. And it will, it will kind of go in to talk about how I would perform in certain situations. For example, if a dual agency has occurred, and I just begin to explain my duties as their agent, and then give them the proper disclosures on due diligence, professional advice, and that's it.
Cool. Sounds good. Anything
Yep.
else to add to that, Emily?
No, I thought it was good. And he explained it good too. Perfectly.
Yeah, actually, I love the fact that you slowed it way down and carefully read every single word. It made me think when I was writing this what exactly I did at first. And it was literally, I mean, a lot of this stuff is directly from it. So I'm not just using big words because I want to use big words. There's no way that I talk like this. But this is what's in our contracts. This is what we're putting in front of our clients, and we need to know the things that are in there. I love, for example, where it even stated about the bargaining of things. That's not, let me see if I can. Bargaining positions. This includes financial positions, motivations, bargaining positions, or any other information that may impact the price, including your willingness to accept a price less than the listing price, or my buyer's willingness to pay a price greater than the listing price. That's not Darren talking. That's our contracts talking, you know? So,
Yeah.
but to the point that I was making earlier, I wrote it this way so that we know what's in the contract. But if you were to read this and say it directly like this, you'd probably bore the heck out of somebody. So we got to figure out, we got to get comfortable with it enough by reading, by practicing, so that we can put it in our own words, tone, style, and phrasing. Anyways, that's about it for today. All right, so that's the script. I hope that you found it very useful. To download the script, just go ahead and head over to realestatescriptspodcast.com. There'll be a link there for you to download the script. This podcast is for the purpose of education only, and it does not make any guarantees. We suggest you seek out the help of your broker, coach, or mentor for specific situations. Brought to you by Darren Tunstall at Repros, California DRE number 018534445.